if you're watching the video format of this podcast, even if you can just tell an audio feature, you can tell that one of us is significantly cooler in person. And that's because I'm wearing Elite Sports gear, baby. Look at this. This is so soft. It's part of our original collection.
Jacob is rocking the crew neck, squaring around sweatshirt. It looks great. Jacob, I talked to you beforehand. I am slacking. I need to jump on top of this. That sweatshirt looks incredible. It looks great on you.
It's sick. Yeah. And if you're buying something for them, a pro tip, they told me to buy a size bigger than you would normally get, just to prevent shrinkage and some other stuff.
Size bigger.
Yeah, get a size bigger.
And you know what you also should do? Use code Squarin.
Yeah, use code SQUARE at checkout. That's elitesports.com/square. Use code SQUARE at checkout. And if you're curious about their other stuff, right? Like this is just their crew neck, but imagine this with any other stuff that they got with all their other elites too. It's the same deal. So same products, just different stuff on them. elitesports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That is my faithful. I don't want to say sidekick because you're not a sidekick. You're like the main character.
If you would have said sidekick, this is the last show we would have
ever done.
That would have been.
No,
it's done.
You're basically my life partner at this point, Zim.
Hanging out with Tepper, doing the college deal, and you'd talk, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, the host of Squaring Around," and I'm like, "Not co-host? What is this, Andy Richter? What's the deal?" You know what I mean?
It did say co-host on my graphic though.
Yeah, but who's looking at the graphics? People are listening.
I'll tell you who's not listening to or looking at fucking graphics. Anybody who graduated from Texas State this past fucking weekend. We were on the phone together for what felt like 6.5 hours because that fucking game took forever. What's up with that? Why do blowouts take forever? This over. We're not gonna catch up.
It's the same way that torture takes forever. You know what I mean? It was essentially we were like getting like fucking our fingers torn out. We had the dark sight. We had the car battery strapped to our nipples. It was awful. It was only a 4-hour game. It felt like 6 hours. It's terrible.
Fucking miserable. And at some point, you and I are going to get together and we'll do a Manning cast of it, and we'll have a fun little offshoot basically that you guys can watch instead of maybe the horrible announcers that the Sun Belt puts together. And then you can just listen to the comedic stylings of me and Zimmel. So look for that. Look forward for that in the future.
Honestly, no, and look, we're not going to be able to have the ESPN Plus broadcast, but with the way some of these broadcast crews have been working here, you're not missing much. Okay,
yeah, no, dead ass turn it off. I guess that's why. Remember when I was like, "This broadcaster is shit" or something? We were playing. I don't know who it was. It might have been somebody early from the Sun.
What's the home game, Brant? We love you, buddy.
Yeah, I love you, Brant Freeman. I want to say it was Southern Miss, and I was like, these guys are fucking terrible. Or maybe it was Louisiana. And then they added me. They were like, there's a way you can sync up the game and get Brant calling this or whoever, Clint.
Yeah, Clint Shields. Another guy, another friend of the pod.
Yeah, another friend of the podcast, Clint Shields.
I like Clint.
But I was like, that takes too much work. Like, what normal person wants to sync up the, and it's just not, it's too much work for me. I love you guys, but I will never do that.
I've done it before, Clint. I've synced it up before. When Brant used to call the games, I would do it a lot. I would try to sync it up with the ESPN. And then we got ESPN Plus full time. So
I did just tune in to Brant most of the time. Like when he's doing the radio calls for baseball, like there was no way to watch the Stanford game, the biggest fucking baseball game Texas State's ever played in, but it was only on the radio. So I just felt like some grandpa on my phonograph listening in to Brant Freeman.
Hey buddy, don't pump the brakes there on the radio. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Get a little close to home there, TV boy.
All right. Let's talk about the issue at hand. I feel like we've been dancing around this shit, right? Texas State got the shit kicked out of them last week. 77 to fucking 31. Okay, I lied. It wasn't a 50-point game. It was a 40-point game.
So here's my thing. Was that the worst Texas State loss ever?
Yes.
I agree. Why do you say that?
I I think we've owned Arkansas State in the past, haven't we? Let me look that up.
That's not why. Here, well, you look up the stats. I'll tell you why that was the worst loss in FBS history for us. Because we had expectations.
That's true.
Because there was expectations attached to it. If this was a Texas State team in the last year of Withers or the first year of Spavital, we lost by 40 to Arkansas State, people would be disappointed. People wouldn't be happy. But the facts is the fact that this is a game that we should have won. We came in as a favorite, a 3.5-point favorite, to get the absolute doors blown off of us. Now, I will say this. 21 of those points are fluke plays. A fumble 6, 2 pick 6s, a kick return. Like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, those are bad plays for sure, but those are not indicative of how Texas State's played. So if you take those 28 points off the board, maybe it's a different ball game. But it shouldn't have ever been that close. Texas State gave this one away, and then in the second half just rolled over.
Okay, so you want to know another ugly stat? Is that Jake Spavital was undefeated against Arkansas State in his time in maroon and gold. Take that, you freaking Bobcats. That hurts. I'll be honest. And I think Arkansas State flexed on us hard because of the whole Kelly dynamic, right? And then everyone's like, who's Texas State's rival anyway? Let's just shit on them. They're having a good year. Fuck them up. And then they have like this like really badass fountain in one of their end zones. That's a fucking nod to Texas State having a fucking river. Don't think I didn't see that.
Nah, dog, that's a stretch. The Kelly thing, that's a stretch. I'll go on a limb and say that the facts is that like GJ Kenny, we'll get to this in a moment, he's getting this national attention. This was a game that wasn't nationally broadcast, thank God, but he was getting national attention. And the college football media landscape, who did not watch the game, watched the box score, they watched the scoreboard, and they saw that Texas State was down a half, down by big in the third quarter, and at the end of the game, a GJ Kenny hype train that has been rolling these past couple weeks, all of a sudden goes off the rails. Okay?
Freaking Polar Express, bro.
I had conversations not only with UTSA fans and Baylor fans. I had conversations with Cougar fans. I had conversations with Mississippi State fans, Auburn fans. There was a lot of conversation for teams that do not like watch Texas State games on the regular, asking me, "What the hell happened? What's going on?" And it's just I think the train went off the tracks early. The turnovers were awful. You know, it's just one of those things where I think if we play Arkansas State 100 times, we win like 85 of them. But that just was the one time we get our asses handed to us kicked.
And one of the benefits of us not being, I don't want to say traditional like journalists because we're doing this podcast, but like we're not day-to-day boots on the ground guys. Literally. I mean, we're doing this fucking podcast from separate cities right now via the internet.
Thousands of miles away.
Thousands of miles away, powered by fucking Spectrum internet at this point.
Because we're not boots on the ground, we're not getting our asses kicked in press conferences.
I had that opportunity to go to the press conference, and I asked you. I was like, should I even fucking log in? Like, it's not even. What am I gonna ask a question to that they're gonna be able to solve? Like nothing. Like, so I didn't join the press conference the past 2 weeks against Coastal and against this one.
Because you're gonna hear the same thing. Like GJ Kenny gets on the podium and he says, like, "Hey, this is all my fault." Which, look. If you want to be an optimist and say, oh, that's good coaching, it is. You know what I mean? It's a lot better coaching than if you go up there and say we need an offensive line or, our defense stinks like Coach Prime. You know what I mean? Like it shows real leadership. It shows that for a younger coach, he has an understanding of the locker room. He has an understanding of the coaching staff. He's going to know that when the team wins, the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, the AD, they all get the credit. And when the team loses, he gets the blame. That's just how college football works. So that is a good sign. That's a good thing to show leadership.
DJ Kinney's also a pretty big political figure, so he's walking that, towing that line, fine line.
Donors too.
I'm a statesman. I got to take this on the chin. We've got 6 wins. We're going to maybe get another one against South Alabama. But you know what? I think we have not shit on this team enough. So you want to, let's put a rap beat on this. Let's get some hits on here.
Here's the tough part. Right. And because this is one of those things where like you just sound bad saying that, right? Like, that's not something any fan wants to hear. Like, two guys on the podcast say, you know what we haven't done? We haven't shit on this dude's enough. Like, nah, like, I get it. I'm upset, too. We're both upset. We joked about putting the ether track right here and, like, going bar for bar. But is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like,
is it worth it?
We tweeted our sorrows out. I do want to talk about our tweet of the week that had to be deleted, the tweet and delete, which I never do. But for the first time in our lives, I'll speak for myself. First time in my life, I'm an accredited source here. And I had people quoting the tweet where I joked. I mean, I took the Jeff Traylor Trophy from a week ago.
Did you interview with Texas A&M?
You know, we had 18 seniors play tonight, and it's a shame, really, that's what everybody talked about. Any second someone's talking about Jeff Traylor and not Frank Harris is a travesty towards those 18 seniors.
We have 18 seniors. How dare you ask me if I'm interviewing for jobs? There's 18 seniors on this roster. That's a disservice to them. I took that jokey joke, and I made a fun of GJ Kenny losing by 40, giving up like 40 points, right? 20, and being like, hey, you know, it's a jokey joke. People took it seriously. They took it a little bit too far. It's a good tweet. It's a solid joke, but I had to delete it.
A ton of retweets and likes on it, so it's kind of sad to see that engagement go away. But you know, you did the internet a service, and for all intents and purposes, that Jeff Traylor thing might have been the funniest thing I've seen all weekend, honestly.
And you know, here's the thing: like, if GJ Kenny came out and said that same thing, and was like, we have X amount of seniors and transfers on the roster, how dare you ask me about? We would be clowning his ass too. So, you know.
Yeah. This week at the press conference, GJ Kenny again spoke very statesman-like, was talking about the loss, talking about going forward, talking about South Al's, talking about how much respect he has for that program over there.
Yeah, I think I'll start with how well they are coached. Coach Womack does an unbelievable job, has a great staff, knows some of those guys and what they're about. And, you know, they have great players, great area to recruit. You know, I've never been there. I heard they have great facilities, which is you know awesome when talking about recruiting and all that kind of good stuff. And you know, they just do a really good job. They run a really good program. I would say very similar to us. You know, talking about beating Baylor, beating Oklahoma State, and then just maybe some inconsistencies throughout the year. But I think they have a really good team, really well coached. Anytime you got a quarterback of their caliber, you got opportunity. I think it starts with their defense. Really good on defense, really sound, give you multiple looks, and make you. They want to take away what you're good at, and you can tell they do a really good job at that. So it's going to be a great game and a great matchup, and I think they're just really explosive on offense. Got great running backs. Obviously, talked about the quarterback, and then they got some receivers that can really take the top off, and they do a good job of getting those guys the ball in space, and just a very well run organization over there.
They're a great team. You know,
they're a letdown. They're a letdown this year.
All right. So can we get a seventh win? Can we get a seventh win?
4 weeks ago, I said we might go 3-0. Yeah. So after losing to Coastal on the road, looking like dog shit.
Ethan Vasco, best quarterback in the Sun Belt.
And then going to Arkansas State and looking like dog shit.
Lane Hatcher was right? Question mark.
I don't know how I feel about our last home game. And here's the other part. So this is the senior night. So this is the game that you want the most fans to. It's cool to have fans in Nevada. It's cool to have fans against Jackson State. This is the one that you want to be a crescendo. You want this to be the game that the fans are super pumped for. They all come out. They give the seniors one last hurrah, right? Would you, if you were a student after the 2 weeks prior, a student, Jacob Rodriguez, student, would you go to this game?
Yes, but I go to all the games.
Nah, you're full of shit. You would not go to this game. As an average person, you're not going to this game.
At least it's a 6 o'clock. It's a 6 o'clock kick, though, so that's good.
They have to make a concerted effort. Otherwise, that stadium is going to be bone dry.
Yeah, I don't expect high attendance. Like 27,000 we had against Jackson State ain't going to happen.
17? 17,000
that we had against, or was it Southern? Or no, not Southern.
Yeah.
Whoever we played for before homecoming.
Are you getting 17?
17 vibes? Yeah.
Nah. I don't think he gets 17. I think he get maybe 15. And that's like part of the deal is like, okay, yeah, it's after Thanksgiving. And this is not a shot at Texas State or in any way, but I'm just saying the last 2 weeks, the performances they've put up do not indicate a program that I would want to go see in person. I'm not rushing home from Thanksgiving to go watch Texas State play.
That's another thing.
We haven't showed up.
Another thing at play right now because Texas State is not a commuter school, right? So people live in San Marcos, and then when these holidays come up, you're like, I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna go to the Valley, you know? So maybe I wouldn't have gone to this game in general.
Dudes go to the Valley, go to Dallas, go to Houston. This is the only anecdotal evidence I have for college students going back. My little brother, college student at A&M, he is going back on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's a big cultural revamp happening in College Station right now. You know, do you feel it? Do you feel that energy? Jimbo's dead, Zimmel. That's what's going on right now.
The king is dead. Nah, well, I get that, but I'm just saying that like the college student that I have in my life is like, I'm going to spend as much time at home eating turkey and leftovers as I can. So maybe other students are different, and maybe Texas State does a really good thing. And we're recording this on Wednesday night, so I have a sneaking suspicion if you're going to change any minds and hearts, it kind of already had to happen, right? You kind of already had to put those seeds in.
I'll tell you one person who is going to be there, co-host of the Aggie War podcast, Jay Arnold from the Fly Jay Away tour. He's coming to Bobcat Land, so it'll be cool to see him in person. I've never met him in person. I've been producing.
Does he not want to be with his family? Why is he coming to San Marcos?
Hey, you know, sometimes it's like the Chris Kyle thing. I think I just need a minute.
You're home? What are you doing?
I guess I just needed a minute.
Yeah, no kidding. I think he just was like, I need to check off another Bobcat or another stadium, so this is the week I'll go. They're home? All right, let's knock that one out.
Maybe he'll bring us luck, unlike Craven that one time.
Yeah, unlike Craven, who only brings bad luck, his UTSA vibes.
Harbinger of fucking death, basically.
You're doing the right thing if everybody dislikes you and you cover your college team. If every fan base is like, that guy doesn't like our team, then you're doing a good job because you are very
except UTSA people. They're like, oh, that's our fucking boy.
Yeah, because I think even then, I'll tell you this. I saw UTSA tweet and they said something about Craven trying to get rid of Trailer. That like Craven's the one that's connecting Trailer to A&M.
He definitely is. I'll be honest. Why do you think I edited that graphic for Aggie War Pod with Trailer in the middle? I'm part of the problem too.
You're part of the propaganda.
But I wanted the hell out of San Antonio for a selfish reason.
Well, do we want to talk South Alabama? Because look, end of the day,
is there anything to discuss about Arkansas State? Do you want to discuss?
There's nothing to discuss. Yeah, that's a burn the tape game. That's one of those like. Well, are you upset that TJ Finley threw 2 interceptions and fumbled another one away? Had 3 turnovers on the day. Hell yeah, you're upset. I'm upset too. But he hasn't done that in the past. He's done a pretty good job of keeping control of the ball. I do think that his Player of the Year campaign hit a major speed bump the last 2 weeks. I would still personally have him as the conference quarterback of the year, but there is a chance here with Texas State now limping into a bowl game potentially that's not going to happen. The Texas State maybe gets a couple guys on the all-conference team. I still think TJ Finley's the guy, but I could see a world where people try to like put another quarterback in instead of him.
It's crazy because 3 weeks ago we were talking about the implications that we could potentially be playing for a conference title in San Marcos, right? That is no longer the case.
Wasn't the case after we lost to Troy. To be honest, after we lost to Troy, that went out the window. But that was after a loss to Louisiana, which again, I say, if you go back and you look,
that was a turning point fucking game.
If you look back at the games that Texas State has lost, UTSA, all right, early in the season, rivalry game, you kind of forgive that one a little bit. Louisiana is inexcusable, okay? Losing to Troy, conference champion last year, I can kind of get behind it. I kind of understand it. Losing to Coastal, awful. Losing to Arkansas State, loss. You can't. I can't come out here and tell you that we should have beat Arkansas State because the way we played, we shouldn't have. You know,
they look like the best team in the country compared. We look like we were playing Georgia last week.
And this is the frustrating part. Butch Jones is a dog shit coach. He has done nothing for that Arkansas State program. Arkansas State fans are terrified of saying it for whatever reason. They don't want to come online and say
last week though.
Huh?
I think in my mind he earned an extension. I don't know if he actually did, but
oh god, I hope not. Well, you know what? Honestly, sure. He had an 18-year-old bail him out. This is
that guy is the truth though. That guy's really fucking good.
This is essentially if you're drunk driving and you get pulled over and you and your 18-year-old kid are like, oh fuck, let's switch seats. And they're like, oh, son, good job driving your dad home. Like, gets you off with a warning. That's what's happening with Butch Jones. He is an awful coach, and he's gotten bailed out by an 18-year-old.
This is mind-boggling. Okay, I'm just looking at the box score right now. TJ Finley threw for 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jalen Rayner, the true freshman from Arkansas State, completed 14 passes on 17 attempts, 196 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he played clean. And that was enough for fucking Arkansas State to 7-ball us? That's horrible.
Yeah, dude. Most points Texas State has given up in the FBS era. Worst loss of my life for Texas State.
Easily. We have
losing.
We have lost something else, like pretty in similar fashion. Obviously, it wasn't a 70-point game, but in 2015, we went over to Jonesboro again, the Curse Stadium, and lost 17-55. The worst loss,
17.
The worst loss we've ever handed them was 45-27, and that was in beautiful Bobcat Stadium. We are 4-7 against this team all time. The longest losing streak we have is 5 games. The longest win streak we have is 3, and that one was gifted to us by Jake Spavital.
Gifted to us by Butch Jones.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Butch Jones has been a bad coach. No, look, I want to move on to South Alabama.
Wait. There's one more thing to discuss. Texas State has TJ Finley, obviously, Malik Hornsby, CJ Rogers, and PJ Hatter. PJ Hatter was the stellar quarterback that came out of Houston. And last week, after the game, he tweeted his fucking highlights from high school. PJ, don't leave us, buddy. You're the future. If only we had him, maybe.
He's out. He's out of here.
He's done so.
He's out of here. He's done.
That hurt to see.
How? All right, last thing then. How the hell do you not play another quarterback? Like, I have been...
We played 2 quarterbacks basically the whole fucking season. We didn't try it this time?
I have been the biggest TJ Finley supporter. Every week, you and I send each other TJ Finley highlights after games. We look at his social media. I love the guy. I think that he's a legit quarterback. Lindsey Scott came on this program and told us that he's a legit quarterback. Malik Hornsby? We're down by 40 points and we don't think about trying anything? Like, look, I understand. At that point, you're just trying to survive in advance. But godly, guys, can we get something?
Well, it was even weirder because of the decision that they made the week before, where they took Finley out, right? Obviously, there was something.
And I think Finley was hurt.
He might have been a little winged or something. And so they took him out and they let Malik play the last quarter and a half, right? But then, like, we're down by fucking 40 points. Is that, I don't know. To me, that's like, just hit reset on the Xbox.
But let me ask you, which would you rather have? And we should have asked our guy, Brady McBride. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have your starting quarterback sat and put Malik in or not, right? Because I think we both want that. I think Spavital would have pulled the plug a lot earlier. We saw him play multiple quarterbacks, just juggling them. Hey, Vitt in this drive. Brady in this drive, and those guys have the relationship, but the claim is they have a relationship between the two of them now. But
Lane Hatcher beat this team. Just want to let everybody know that that's a dagger in the heart.
Yeah, yep. Brady posted his stats.
Brady beat the shit out of this team too.
He had 5 TDs against Arkansas State one year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was his first year, 2020.
Yeah, man. I don't know. South Alabama is an interesting one because we're both bowl eligible. You'd like to go out with a win. A 7-win season for Texas State would be really sweet versus going 6-6 and limping into a bowl game, trying to look for that 7th win in a bowl game. We said we were a 6-6 per team because of that. Like, if we went in the podcast to be right, hey, Jags, get the job done this weekend. I would rather have us be 7-5 going into a bowl game. I'd rather be 7-5 going into a bowl game. I looked at the Frisco Bowl projections right now, and it's like San Diego State. You want to see the Aztecs play? All right, that's cool. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I think we can beat San Diego State, so I'd rather, all things being equal at this point, fuck, give me a team that I can beat.
Yeah.
Give me a team let's go to a bowl game and get a win,
And it's even weirder because the last 2 weeks we were talking about the potential implications of playing UTSA too, right?
That's done.
UTSA has gone on a hell of a run. They're going to play Tulane this week in the biggest game their program has ever played before, and they might win.
They played for a conference championship last year.
Yeah, but this is different. They're in the American the first year. They're challenging for an American title right now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Dang. PJ Hatter, don't leave, bro. What the fuck? That's my last pitch for Texas State. What the fuck?
What's your pitch to GJ to stay?
We'll have a couple really big weeks of recruiting. As soon as the season gets over, those next 3 weeks up until signing day will be huge. And you're talking about this week on national television. The bowl game will be national television. So a great opportunity for us to go out there and showcase, what we're about and give. That's what I told these seniors too, and the guys in this room is, Let's go out there and for these seniors that have aspirations of playing in the NFL, the more eyes, the better you play, and in these big moments like this, the better chances you have of going and getting that opportunity to play in the NFL. However you feel about your situation right now as a player, put your ego to the side and go out there and play for these seniors.
Oh, that brings me to my next point. So I watched the press conference, elder statesman GJ Kinney, talking about basically the need for the coaching to be better. He said that like several times. Why isn't it better? You're the coach.
Who's getting fired, brother? Who's leaving?
Who's getting fired? I think it might be Jonathan Patke, if I had to guess. And I did apologize to him about 3 weeks ago for saying things like that. But the defense
hasn't gotten better.
Got fucking choked out, basically.
Defense looks like dog shit.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things at play,
and he not injuries either.
He was talking about how like year one things are kind of weird. Things are
that ain't it.
Doing a lot of things,
That ain't it, Chief.
It's getting to that time, and these guys have put us in a great situation to go out there and have a really good offseason. There's going to be probably some changes and some different things going forward. Based off. This season, and we've done some really good things, but we've done some things that haven't been as good. And it's been a great learning moment for a lot of people involved. And but just really, really, thankful. It's good timing. Good, very thankful for these seniors and the leadership that we have, and they've accomplished something that hasn't been done here in a long time.
Look, we are in the part of the season where the defense needs to be playing its best.
Yeah.
Right. The difference between offense and defense, right? They always say that defense is easier in the beginning. Defense is always easier in the beginning because it's an easier playbook to remember. Fewer plays, right? We should be flying around. And there's not like there's a ton of injuries. At least there's not a ton of injuries that we've talked about, right? Like it's not like Brant's coming on the broadcast telling us or Clint's coming on the broadcast telling us like, hey, just FYI, guys. We hurt 4 guys in practice this week. No, like that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is relatively healthy, relatively clean. Why are we still making mistakes? Why are we still not making tackles? Why are teams still being able to run up the middle on us? What's going on? And we don't have an answer. So that's when he says we need to coach better. To me, that's what he's talking about.
It still amazes me that you or me under center could probably get 5 yards on this team up the gut. Like QB option. Like I don't think they could stop me. I'll be honest. It's sad.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this week. Let's talk about South Alabama. ESPN has us taking a fat L, basically 71% Arkansas or Alabama.
Football
favored.
Power Index is bullshit. Don't buy it.
The 6-5 South Alabama Jaguars come to Texas State to take on the 6-5 Bobcats. 3-4 in conference for the Bobcats. 4-3 on the other side. 6:00 kickoff. TJ Finley on the verge of a 3,000-yard season. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game anymore.
It's a must win for sure. I mean, it's a must win in that if we lose this game, we will never be able to jump in the river again. If you jump in the river and then you don't get another win afterwards, we are done jumping the river. Like, that tradition is DOA.
Defund the river.
Dead. Yeah, it's dead. You can't jump. Like, if okay, let me tell you this, hypothetically, you jump in the river and then you lose your next 4 games, it's dead. The tradition's dead. You can't jump in the river anymore. In fact, I'd go out here and say this. I don't know if I'm jumping in the river for graduation.
No other team should jump in the river either.
I'm saying I don't think
baseball wins a conference title, a regular season conference title, and then goes to the tourney. Get away from the river, boys.
Yeah, exactly. No more jump in the river. I would say period. Tradition's dead for athletics and just the university. No more jump in the river. If we lose 4 games afterwards, you got to win. You have to win this week at home against South Alabama to just feel a little bit of something before going to the bowl game. Like, we're all going to be excited, and I know that our guy Ish tweeted about how, like, year 1 and all this type of stuff. And I get that. And, Ish is a genius. I love Ish.
Great guy.
I have every right to be upset. I think every fan has every right to be upset about what the product has been these last 2 weeks.
Dude, yeah. And, I think they even talked about it in the presser too, that they were like, donors are upset.
Yeah, I think you never want to lose in that fashion, obviously, but I think anytime you face adversity, it's good, and you can always learn a lot from adversity and how you respond, and so obviously not excited or happy that we lost by any means, but I think there's some great learning moments from that game for our players, and obviously I know, like, everyone's disappointed. Everyone, players, coaches, administration, fans, boosters, yes, very disappointed. But I think we've accomplished a lot of really good things this year, and we have to make sure now the focus is about these seniors and sending them out the right way and those kind of deals.
Fan base is upset. My wife is upset. Everybody's upset around here.
Here's the thing. We're not upset in the same way, which is good. Mm-hmm. Before, we were upset because we weren't showing any heart, any hustle on the field, right? We weren't showing any improvement. We showed a ton of improvement early, and it's not building on. You know what I mean? It's like a plateau. It's plateauing, which you should be upset about. Now, look, end of the day, this is a successful season, point blank period. Going to a bowl game in year 1 is a giant step for a program that has not been to a bowl game before, for a program that hasn't won 6 games in 10 years. This is huge, humongous. But that being said, losing by 40 to Arkansas State is bad. Losing to Coastal on the road is terrible when they don't have their starting quarterback.
I just don't understand how, like, this team can go, like, do the highest of highs and then the next week, like, drop games it should win. Or
college football.
Even just compare. Yeah, and I guess the Sun Belt is the biggest, like, any given Saturday fucking conference there is, But, yeah, it just hurts because you're like, what? I thought I understood it. And that's the whole fucking thing about football is the entire time, whether you're good at fucking fantasy, like, for the NFL, or you're good at, like, pick 'em for college, or you're good at whatever, the whole time you're in this, like, flux and you're like, oh, man, I thought I knew this team. Oh, man, I thought I knew this team. I thought I knew my team. What's going on?
My dad has a great saying. He says, don't gamble on college athletics because you can't trust college kids. You can't trust college kids. Don't gamble on college athletics, period. You can't trust college kids. Yeah. And I think that's the frustrating part, is that you see the way that Texas State played Baylor, the way that they played Nevada, Jackson State, even against ULM, where they showed heart and they came back and they fought and they won. You look at all those wins and you think to yourself, like, why does that not carry over? Yeah. Why can we not carry over last week's performance to this week? And that's the difference between college athletics and the NFL, where in the NFL, you can kind of, hey, this team played really well in week 5, week 6. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to play at that same level again, right? We know who the great Darryl Green quote, the Bears are who we thought they were. The thing is, we don't know who the Bobcats are. Inconsistency.
Yeah. The product is still unfinished, right? They kind of hinted at it too. Like, they haven't even really finished their full install,
Yeah. And I don't think it's necessary. I mean, it was a situation where you come in and there's discipline and certain rules that you got to abide by, but it's one of those things where you can't do everything you want in a short period of time. You can't install everything you want to do and run a program exactly the way you want year one because you just have so many this body, this guy, just a lot of different circumstances go into year one. And that's why you usually see some, inconsistencies in year one across the country. And there's a reason why in year three, we're going to be a lot better than we are in year one. You heard Sark talk about it the other day on the Pivot podcast, like year three, like the bodies look different. These are the guys that I've recruited every single person in this room. These coaches have been with me now for 4 years, 3 years. It's just different in year three than it is in year one. And that's why you have inconsistency.
And they
why? How is that possible? I don't buy that.
I think it becomes like a personnel thing, right? Like towards the end of camp, they were really trying to figure out who the hell is going to take the first snap.
I don't buy. We're in week 11. We're in week 11. Week 7, I'll buy it.
I am making excuses for this team. I'm like a survivor, I've been through a lot with this team, and I'm like, it's okay. Things will change. I've seen them do good before.
He'll stop drinking. I promise. Nah,
yeah.
This ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. Show me this. GJ Kenny, TJ Finley, Mac Wet, Leftwich, defense. Show me this. Show me that you're going to take last week's script where you came out, you scored quick, you put 10 points on the board in the first 2 possessions. Show me that you can take that script after getting punched in the mouth and change. The halftime adjustments the last 2 weeks have not been existent. They were non-existent.
Yeah. It's like if you played the first half, like a full-grown man played the first half, and then you handed the controller off to your brother, your little brother in diapers. It's horrible.
Yeah. There's a saying.
It makes, honestly, watching those games terrible. It is horrible. I don't know the viewership numbers for that, but they should be the worst in the fucking Sun Belt.
There's an old football saying. You've heard it. I've heard it. I had a middle school coach who said it, right? Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. You've heard that before?
I've never heard that before, actually.
Texas State every week comes in the first half looking like a silverback gorilla and ends the second half playing like a 6-year-old girl.
That's a fun, we got to fix little that. Combo.
We got to fix that. In week 11, you got to fix that.
Yeah, I agree. It's fucking unexcusable. You're right. I mean, and for our coaches to talk the talk the way they do and to walk the walk the way they do, it's like continue winning.
For us to do that.
Yeah, like what the hell am I doing here if I'm covering this team?
And I'm wearing the Texas State hat. Mm-hmm. You right? Like
I'm not wearing colors actually for the first time in a while.
I don't think anybody can argue, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see people being like, "Well, you're wearing our hat. Well, you're wearing our jersey. Well, you're wearing our shirt." Like, how can you say
you're wearing a class ring right now too?
I'm wearing the class ring. Yeah, we love this school. We fucking bleed maroon and gold. And I want to get to this last part. I want to move on and talk about the rumor mill and the conversation about the coaching carousel, because we haven't talked about it on this podcast. We purposely have moved away from it. I bleed maroon and gold. You bleed maroon and gold. The listeners of this podcast, maroon and gold. I'm hearing conversations about dudes leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing legitimate conversations about guys going to different schools. And for the first time,
very heavily considering it.
First time in my life, this actually upsets me. Like, I had a conversation this week with a guy who covers Mississippi State. GJ Kenny allegedly has conversations, is interested in that job. Okay, I don't blame him, right? SEC job, going to be a big payday. I get it. I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that from my coach, who has been a head coach for 2 years.
All of 2 seconds, yeah.
Who has been at Texas State for 1. And we're losing by 70 points. I don't want to hear that. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a right to be upset about that.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Dude, if that happened, like, this season doesn't fucking matter in my mind. It's like you did really well, and then your coach left. Everybody just kind of fucking shit fell off.
It's Cinderella.
Maybe perhaps DePrado stays around, or Mac Leftwich. We can get him, and we can have some semblance of the same culture we did last year. But it would never be the fucking same as what happened this year. Don't use that shitty hashtag. Don't use anything from this year. I don't want to see it again.
Nah, here's the thing. It really is, and this is a cliche, right? The carriage turns into a pumpkin at midnight. And we told people all year, enjoy it while you have it. And we're going to enjoy it while we have it. Yeah. We're going to enjoy this season. We bitched about it for the last 30 minutes on this podcast about the way they performed. End of the day, like I said, it's a successful season. I'm happy with 6-6. I'm happy with 6-6 in a bowl win or a bowl loss, to be completely honest with you. Get into a bowl game is fucking huge. it would be the carriage turns into a pumpkin at midnight if GJ Kenny left after 1 year.
Dead ass.
You'd go right back to cleaning for the ugly stepmother. The only difference is that Don has a pretty face and that Kelly Damphus cares about this. So I know that the next guy up would have an inside track to success. I know the next guy they hired, we could trust. But besides that, the carriage turns back into a pumpkin.
There's just only so much you can do with the amount of care versus actually character, I guess, you need that level of okay, well, we need to build the culture and it takes time and it takes, it was kind of like what I was telling you originally. The reason GJ Kinney is not on a 1.2 or $1.5 million contract, which is probably fair market average for good enough team to go to a bowl game on a consistent level. Yeah. 500 level coach. The reason he's not that is because you earn that, he has to prove himself as a coach, which is why that Mississippi State thing feels like a reach. It feels like they should probably get somebody who's very established. Look at the guy before the guy who they have right now, Mike Leach,
he's dead.
No, I'm saying the guy who they had before the guy they have right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like that offense has just struggled. So, they're going to
Summerall's in the conversation too. There's conversations about Trailer potentially. I still would be more concerned about GJ going to Baylor or UTSA versus Texas State. But I do want to say
Trailer to UTEP. How about that?
Nah, this really upset me about seeing that potentially, because the question was do Texas State fans care? I was I don't think we really care about GJ going somewhere right now. We're focused more on the season. We're focused more, but I did want to bring this up on the podcast and get us on the record here that getting that information, hearing that from people, actually have to have those conversations when we're 6-5, trying to get to 7-5, trying to go to a bowl game and win it. I don't want to have those. As the Texas State sports press, that's not the conversation I want to have. It's is your football coach going to leave? Buzz off,
And as a head coach, right? You're more of a manager of people. And that's really GJ's biggest skill set, right? Of course he's an offensive mind. Of course he's like a quarterback guru. He took snaps.
You could have fooled me the last 2 weeks.
That's true. But that's just the skill set he brings to any conversation, right? So I feel like he could have those conversations potentially, but he's not going to get flown out to Starkville or anything to talk about this shit.
Well, these conversations never happen in Starkville or San Marcos. They happen at
in airports.
They happen in airports. They happen on Waffle Houses off I-10. That's where these conversations happen.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just think it's too much of a reach in year one, either way, and especially how the tail end of this year has gone. But maybe it's because there's so much noise around this program.
You hope that it's a reach in year one, because I'll tell you, you can outbid. We talked about this. You can outbid UTSA. You might be able to outbid Baylor, depending on what they want to spend. You can't outbid the SEC. You're not going to be able to outbid Mississippi State. If they want to coach, they're getting that coach. Period. Point blank.
Yeah.
So I don't think that makes sense for them. I said that's a bad hire. I'll call their AD and tell them that's a bad idea. But what can I do? I'm just a little podcaster.
True. Yeah. You want to talk
What's your prediction for this week?
Let's do 28-35. Texas State comes out on top.
Please, for the love of God, take your AP style book out and read. It's 35-28. You put the bigger score first. But I agree with you.
I didn't really know where I was going to go with that score, so that's why I kind of said it like that. But yeah, I think Texas State comes out on top at the very end, and it's going to be fun.
That, by the way, not going to be able to score 50 points per game in the Sun Belt.
You will definitely not. Yeah, especially
be able to score 35 points per game in the Sun Belt with the performance we had last week,
which is respectable, I guess. Right? What's our points against? What's that number averaging out at?
I think it's averaging out around 28, 30.
Definitely helped Arkansas State happen.
That 77 probably boosted a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be 32 or something, I feel.
Are we getting outscored? What's the point differential this year?
I don't know. Let me look at these guys' schedule real quick.
Yeah.
So
this is a good time to insert an ad.
Do. Okay.
Jacob, Home Field Apparel has the most unique college athletic apparel across the board. And they just got bomber jackets, which are super cool. So if you're a fan of pretty much any SEC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, Old Southwest Conference school, you are set. Now, they are lacking Texas State, but I promise you after our bowl win, there's no reason for them not to give us new BOCO merch. But until then, if you have a loved one or anybody else in your family, maybe you're doing a little early Christmas shopping, Home Field Apparel is your place. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Texas State is averaging the league most 34.5 points per game.
And scored on 32. Yeah.
So we're outscoring teams by 2.
Well, their teams are scoring 32.9.
Yeah, so 33 points per game
through 11 games. So that score actually lines up with what could happen in this game. And I just said that shit. Isn't that cool how that works out sometimes?
Yeah, no, that checks out.
Let's talk about basketball. Let's shift the narratives,
Yeah.
Let's talk about some teams with some actual hope. And by that, I guess we shouldn't talk about the men's team because they're on a 2-game fucking losing streak. They lost to McNeese yesterday. We're recording this on a Wednesday, so that was Tuesday at noon. They played another noon game today against Louisiana Tech. They lost that one as well. Or not Louisiana Tech, Southern Utah. So tough.
That was that McNeese score came across and you were like, what the hell is happening, right? Was that the score that you were shocked by?
McNeese, especially because they held my boy Christian Turner. In the last game, he was the savior against UTSA. Always loved winning against the Birds, 72-62 in that one. And that was at Bobcat or at the Strand Arena. And my boy Christian Turner went off. And I was like, I told you guys he's the fucking truth. That's why I dedicated so much space to him in DCTF's magazine. Buy it now online. Or on
I think on newsstands. On newsstands right now. Go to a Barnes & Noble. I think that I don't know. I think that it's still too early to really give like a judgment on this Texas State basketball program. McNeese State has been okay though. I think. I don't think that was like you were shocked by that outcome, and I was like, I don't know if it's that shocking of an outcome.
My cousin Evan Maldonado plays for McNeese. He's a baseball player over there now. So shout out my boy Evan.
There you go. Thanks. That's a nice little.
Yeah, they play UT Arlington on Saturday, who used to be in the Sun Belt, at least for basketball. And then they play Texas on next Thursday, and that's November 30th. Yeah, next Thursday. Sorry, my dates are all weird. But yeah,
they're going to get their cheeks clapped
at the Moody Center. That's the mood.
Bless the mood. 1, 2, 3. Are you ready to bless the mood? Are you ready to bless the mood? Are you ready to bless the mood? Come on, CDC. Are you ready to bless the mood?
If you're a Texas State fan, go and enjoy the Moody Center and enjoy one of the best venues to watch a college basketball game in the state of Texas.
Have you been over there?
I have been over there. Yeah, I went to the Moody Center a couple years ago.
I liked when UT played at Frank Irwin. Frank Irwin's a fucking sick ass venue. That's where I saw Kanye perform too. But the Moody Center, I think, is like significantly less seating too, right? What is the difference?
I don't remember the difference, but I do like how you should have been like, I saw Kanye play there, not to get political, but
not to get political. How's the women's team doing?
I haven't kept up enough with the women's team. I've been so focused on football.
Yeah. You fucking hate women's sports, huh?
I know. No, TCU women's basketball has been on a fucking tear though, so that's really what I've been more focused on. They're like 4-0.
Gee, thanks. They actually went 1-1. They lost to Sam Houston. That sucks. That was a 4-point game at Strand, and also at Strand they played UTRGV on Friday, and they won. So they take on one of my favorite teams ever, the Corpus Christi TAM-UCC Islanders in Corpus on Sunday. No, the Islanders. Oh. Shock us up, brother.
Yeah. Do you wish you were back in Corpus?
I love Corpus. It's a really nice town. It feels like if everywhere.
This is revisionist history. This is revisionist
history. I was kind of shitting on Corpus the whole time I was there, but I did like the people I was with, and I liked the town itself. I just didn't like that all my friends and like people I was trying to see were in Austin and San Antonio.
Let's take you behind the curtain. 2 years ago, we were talking about doing a podcast, and Jakob was bitching about Corpus, and I was like, yeah, I could not imagine how awful Corpus Christi must be, a coastal city in the state of Texas. Oh, man, that must be awful. And Would you like to retract that? Now?
I actually
as
had
I've lived
more
in
of a,
North Dakota for 3 fucking years.
I actually had more of a winter in Corpus last year than I have at all in San Antonio ever. Like it has not been shit compared to, Corpus is like nice. It's like Seattle almost in December. It's like raining all the time. It's really nice and pretty. They have these things called sunny delights. That's a phrase coined by my friend and meteorologist, Alan Holt. But it's like when the day is literally just perfect and it feels really good outside and it's sunny. It's really fucking cool. The only other thing about Corpus is you get hit with that Saharan dust and all your allergies kind of get out of whack.
Sun goes down at about 5-ish o'clock. It's 34 degrees today, and the wind was at 40 miles per hour.
Tough.
So, yeah.
Night wind.
I don't like living in a coastal city. I hope you drown.
Another big news item for Texas State. Obviously, Texas State and the Texas State University system announced that the basically group that assigns where the presidential debates are going to be around.
Huge.
They're happening in freaking San Marcos, in LBJ, probably. But,
Yeah. I want to do positives, then I want to do negatives.
Okay, go ahead.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Positives, huge for the university. Absolutely ginormous.
This will be the first presidential debate, by the way. The very first one. They think there's 4. So this will be the first one that's happening in September.
Going to be huge. This is like the biggest deal that Texas State has had in like huge times. Like this is for in our lifetime. This is bigger than Beto coming. This is bigger than literally anything else. Any other circus who's come to town. Ginormous. It's going to put Texas State on the map. I'm so happy that we got the bid because I imagine we had a bid for it to like have this.
Yeah, it's like a proposal process, basically. Like all these universities and all these entities, like, well, like different presidential libraries and stuff, obviously will submit applications and stuff. And Texas State was like, hey, we're putting it all out there. We want this to happen. So it'll be the first Texas school to have graduated a president that served, person who was an alumnus who graduated and became a president. And then it'll be the first university in Texas to also host a debate. Also,
no way
that we don't. Yeah, the first university in Texas to host a debate.
Are you sure that
Yes.
UT didn't do it?
Nope.
A&M didn't do it?
Nope.
Really?
Yes.
That shocks me. I thought UT did it.
Nope. The first. Right here.
That is, again,
because usually it's like Quinnipiac University in like I don't know where that is, but they do all the polls and stuff, and it's like Ithaca College or like it's like all those like Ivy League schools that kind of get first grab at shit.
Yeah, Ithaca's
but
not.
People were saying online that this is an indication that Texas could be a swing state. I'm really into politics. If I'm not talking about football, I'm talking about like I love it, like election season. It's my fucking shit.
I like this too. I think that Texas has for a long time been in that like the mixing bowl of like could be a swing state. It's not in Ohio, Michigan, or Florida, but for sure it's getting into the Arizona-ish territory. So that's interesting. That is shocking to me. I thought for sure that so we're the first to host. Giant deal. Great. I'm happy. This is like I saw this. I was so proud of my university. I was so happy as an alumni. Can we get to the negatives?
Sick. Yeah, it was really cool. It'll be really big. It's going to turn into, you talk about like one of the fastest growing
areas,
like I-35 corridor in all of the country. It's one of the fastest growing. Like New Braunfels is
New Braunfels has an 8%. It was 8% year over year, which is astronomical. I think that was the highest in the country.
And you know what? You can tell during the fucking floating season. There is so many fucking people there now.
Texas State has a history of white supremacists that want to come on that campus. Texas State has a history of Proud Boys who have like made their appearance on the campus. In our time, post 2016, they have a problem with having some of those like alt-right groups come on campus. This, to me, could be very bad if Texas State does not do the proper precautions. So I'm very happy. I saw that immediately. I was like, there has to be an uptick in security on that campus.
Yeah. Because and then obviously like when you do something like this, like you immediately become like a federal partner, basically. Like you have to coordinate with the Secret Service and all these other entities. So like expect there to be a lot of federales in San Marcos.
Yeah. For the guys who are selling weed out of their apartments, maybe we cut back.
Button up over there in San Marcos.
Button up over there. Yeah. It's going to be, I think there's going to be a little bit of a crackdown on the illicit
in October.
Substance.
You can let all loosey goosey, but ooh man, when do we play our first home game next year? Actually, this is a really This will be really cool to see.
If it could coincide, Tuesday debate, Saturday game.
24. Okay. I think this is happening on the 16th of September. Oh, wow. Look at this. We're hosting Arizona State September 14. The next day, I think it's the 16th. Yeah. TXST debate.
Wow. So we're gonna have a Big 12 school come in, and then we're gonna have the debate the next day.
Yeah.
Kelly Danfus.
Yeah, 16th September 2024.
Kelly Danfus, you slick dog.
You
Good
slide
job.
dog, you.
Let me tell you, those parking passes, brother, those are going to be expensive. So do you just get a hotel? Do you spend both days there?
I think I might have to. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh man,
that might be the move.
Ass, because I'm gonna have to book it like 6 months in advance.
Yeah, I was gonna say book those rooms now, folks. I'm so happy for my university, man. Even though that we absolutely got dog walked by Arkansas State, it was a good week.
Well, maybe this is the tide that kind of cures everything, right? Because this news came out on Monday, and we've kind of been riding this cool wave. GJ Kinney says, "Hey, we're gonna button up. We're gonna be better. I promise. Give me another chance."
I don't buy that. And
at least we're going to a bowl game, so it's kind of hard to be mad at a successful season, like you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. JMU's not going to a bowl game, so that's like fun. That annoying shit finally ended on Saturday too. That was like one of those things where like, oh yeah, I'm pumped, but also,
Well, they won't they? Will they? Won't they? Shut up.
No,
man.
yeah, now it's done. It's dead. So let me ask you this: Texas State gets game day in 2027. Okay, we're in a JMU situation. Who is our guest picker?
Ooh, I think we'd have to go with
George Strait. You think we invite George?
Oh,
Randy Rogers?
That's an easy dub. Yeah, either of those guys. I was going to assume somebody on like Broadway, because we have a lot of Broadway stars at Texas State.
Who on Broadway is big enough that College Game Day would want him?
Yeah, that's true. It's not.
I think it'd be Randy Rogers.
Not in the cultural zeitgeist,
I think it's Randy Rogers. I think that's the answer. Which is shout out Randy Rogers. Texas State football is getting good, brother.
Let me tell you, if you're ever homesick, right? Texas State, I feel like this is kind of like my home away from home, especially, I lived there for such a long time. I still fucking go there all the time, obviously. But when I'm ever homesick, I just put on Randy Rogers, anything by that guy, and then drive to San Marcos. And as soon as you hit the city, you will tear up. You will cry tears of joy as you drive into San Marcos.
Is that your San Marcos song?
Yeah, anything. Like
tweet us your San Marcos song to the Squarin account. I'd be curious to see what those answers are.
Yeah.
Not Brockhampton?
Brockhampton was good, but they took off all their shit. And like All American Trash was my favorite Brockhampton project.
They have a song called San Marcos. That's my
but it sucked. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
All right. Good luck, Bobcats. You can do it.
I think Broccoli by Drum would be mine.
We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.